My bag and my work.
They were just looking for an open chair.
They were.
Good, so.
I know.
Let's all look at me real quick.
Action photo.
Commissioners.
Use a smile.
Now I want a real picture with that.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Here we go. We annual report.
Okay. 5 o'clock, I think it's time to start our study session. Summer, will you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Evans?
Here.
Commissioner Norwood?
Here.
Commissioner Siragusa?
Here.
Commissioner Roberts? Here. Commissioner Stallings?
Here.
Commissioner Orr?
Here.
And Mayor Mason.
Here. Item number 2, at the Commissioner's request, discuss any item of concern on the regular session agenda.
I had a quick question. I talked to Gerald about this, but Raleigh, so the first item that we have on the consent was the roof, the new roof on the library. We only got one bid for that? How does
Yes, sir.
this, yeah,
I think it's not usual. I mean, for the pre-bid meeting, there were like 6 or 7 people showed up.
okay,
And everybody said, hey, yeah, they are interested. I mean, this is not a completely tear off and put it back.
Yeah.
It's just layer on top of it. So it's an easier project, and everybody interested show that. I mean, until they bid it, we do not know whose mind is what's going on.
okay,
But when we got the bids, yeah, we got only one bid.
okay. Well, at least it's, I mean, we allocated, I looked on the budget, we allocated 300,000,
Yep.
but they came in nearly 60,000 less, so that's, I suppose that's the silver lining, of only getting one bid. So
Right.
that's all I had.
Commissioner Norwood, did you have a question?
Yes. On item, it's on our consent items.
5.4,
Yeah, 5.4. See if I had it pulled up.
it's on the Garver amendment.
Yep, I'm almost there. The second page, on the last paragraph, it says, Garver anticipated that a clear understanding of Garney's final completion schedule will be available early next year. At that time, Garver will provide the city with an estimated additional cost.
Pull up the attachment to 5.4. Yeah.
An estimated additional cost for the completion of necessary remaining scope items. And my question on that is, are we going to incur any type of additional costs on this project when we get down to the final? Because it said just in case. So I just want to make sure on the remaining scope.
Yeah, I mean, at this time, like, we don't see, because the substantial completion of the project is still June 24. I think our contractor is still putting a lot of pressure and force to complete the project with the manual mode. If we can get, I mean, I'm positive we'll see that going to be happening. If that is the case, we don't see additional any amendment from the Garver, because from that time they have like additional 3 months of operation. They are going still like this amendment does not like we still got a $1.5 million still there that is completely allocated for automation and 3 months of operation.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious about that because in this contract here, it said that we will not incur any costs on the rest of the project, but then at the very bottom, that caught my attention, so I wanted to get some clarification.
Right.
That was it.
And I just wanted to bring up 5.7, because it looks like we're adding $108,000 to a project that's going on in my ward, when the $108,000 addition is actually going on in Ward 4, and it was at the price that we got on North 10th, on my construction work that's going on, which would, at this point in time, if they would have put it out for bids, I think it probably would have came in at 1.5 or better, or 150 or better.
Right, yeah.
So we were able to utilize the work that's going on in my ward and substantiate it to work that's going on in Ward 4, or work that was slotted for Ward 4 at
Are you
a
telling us you're taking?
discounted price.
You're taking credit for that? Is that what you're telling us?
I'm not taking credit for it. I just wanted that it wasn't added on to the work that's being done in my ward, that this is actually extended work that they got at a real decent price at the lowest bidder.
Merry Christmas to the city.
Yes.
Other comments on any of the other items? Okay. If not, I'll move on to 3.1. We'll discuss the bridge rating report. This is what I had cut you off of 2 weeks ago, and thanks for coming back and doing
Yeah, I
that.
thought I
Jason.
better jump up here before I got cut off again, but I apologize for my voice. Covering over some sickness, but just bear with me and I'll be as quick as I can. Over this past 6 months or so, we completed our 2023 ODOT bridge inspections. Typically what that covers is 72 of our 85 bridges that we have within our city limits. And what these typical bridges are non-highway bridges, not railroad, not pedestrian, and over 20 feet long. So these are bridges that are actually, they're inspected by representatives that ODOT hires, and then they report back to us with their findings. The bridge inspections are broken into 3 typical types of repair types, a CX, a PX, and FX. And kind of the easiest way to describe that is the good, the bad, the ugly. But, you know, the CXs are critical issues, cause immediate closures. These are things that, you know, the bridge can't be left open and things of that nature. PXs are repairs that are needed, but necessarily won't cause a closure. And then FXs are type of repairs that basically they need fixed or monitored, but they won't cause any kind of immediate concerns. This year in 2023, so we had 1 CX, 92 PXs, and 54 FXs. You can look at down the screen there, and you can see what our kind of typical numbers are that we have over the past several years. Those have kind of been the numbers that I'm used to seeing since I've been here, since 17. So the 1 CX we did have, of course, was Eisenhower Bridge. If y'all think y'all remember that, where the bottom of it was blowed out, that was in August of 23. And then here's the new bridge that we've got constructed as of December 23.
Jason, I want to commend the engineering department
Thank you. Yes.
for the swift speed you fixed that with. And Aaron, you used a change order to do that. I don't know what the time frame was, but it was, in my opinion, outstanding.
Yeah, it was it was kind of a perfect storm for us for that type of problem, because we had a consultant here in town who was doing this kind of work and needed more work to do. So it was easy just to plug him right in and get this repaired as needed. The 92 PXs that we have throughout the city on the bridges, they vary from all kinds of things, broken guardrails, debris and material plugged up underneath the boxes, and then missing riprap. That's kind of the typical norm thing that we have. And then the FXs that we have, monitor spalling, monitor cracking, and monitor scouring. So our plan of action that we take from this report is we compile the repair types, and then we prioritize them, and then we set up a series of projects, kind of grouping them together in the project types so that we get the most bang for our buck in the repair program. We'll work hand in hand with Public Works and get what things that they can take care of done, and then anything additional beyond what they can't take care of, we'll hire out through contractors. And then obviously just continued maintenance and watching of all the bridges throughout the year. And that's all I got.
Yeah, a lot of us were like, not replacement, like just
Okay.
make little repairs.
Any questions,
Stuff that could be done more quickly.
commissioners?
Okay, thank
All
you.
right, thanks, Jason.
Yeah, it's a quick timetable.
Item 3.2, the call water supply program update.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. It's a quarterly update we provide on the construction and progress of the project. Since we met last June, July, October, yeah, we had like major milestones we met. I think 50%, like 4 segments of 8 segments, the pipeline has been completely tested and passed. And like 75% of our HDD is almost done. In detail, Jason going to cover it up. Jason with Garney's here.
Thanks, Morelli. Mayor, Commission, I really don't know where the last 4 months went. I think last time I was up here was May 16th, but anyway, time flies when we're having fun. For an update, so where are we? Currently we're deep into the construction components, and you'll notice on the slide, and I'll cover this later in the agenda. Our current contractual milestone for substantial or manual startup of the water treatment plant is June 27th. I've got TBD. There's a number of things we can talk about later in the agenda that may or may not compromise that. We won't know much of that information until sometime after the first of the year. So I don't think there's a lot of value to get into much detail today, other than it's something we've got a watchful eye on. So on a $256.8 million program, there's a lot of administrative components involved. We've got nearly 2,000 submittals to date, just shy of 800 RFIs, just shy of 100 field orders, and 27 construction change directives and growing. So a lot of efforts, both on the front lines and then behind the lines, associated with getting this project built safely and successfully. The major infrastructure, again, 5 major facilities. We have the intake, it's nearly 85% complete. The pipelines, from program 95%, the intermediate booster pump station 90, the water treatment plant 65, and we're just getting kicked off, and later in the agenda I'll talk more about Chestnut water main. Just a quick reference exhibit that we've seen before related to the 5 major components. Again, obviously the water treatment plant, the 8 pipeline segments, the intermediate booster, up at the intake, and then extending out of the water treatment plant roughly 3 miles running east is the Chestnut water distribution main. Moving on to the intake site. Many, if most, not all of us have made a site visit to this area. If you haven't been recently, it's changed drastically. This is some of the pre-placement of the rebar steel cages. You can see 2 of the pump cans, and if you look around the perimeter of that, you can see the remnants of the vertical shaft, nearly 100 vertical foot down below. So,
I was going to say, where'd the big hole go?
yep, we're covering it up. There'll be a hatch opening though, if you still want to visit. And then out within Call Lake, you can see the floating log boom assemblies. Another progress photo and completion of the pump station slab. In this photo, you can actually see the 3 pump cans. This next photo is placement of the concrete slab, approximately 280, so just shy of 300 cubic yard placement. And that area's been complete. And the next photo is a near final finished product of that slab as it goes vertical and some of the more reinforcement. Outside of the intake slab, a couple photos here of the electrical building. It kind of pales in comparison to the water treatment plant, but nonetheless, it's an electrical building. Some of the interior conduits and electrical runs. And then we touched on this in prior meetings, but just a visual of the shoreline riprap protection and then for the long-term public motor safety of the floating log boom assemblies. Moving on to the pipelines, and as Morale had indicated, we have successfully pressure tested just over 205,000 linear feet of the pipelines. That's roughly 58% of the raw water transmission main. And that's starting here at the plant, extending up through segment 4. Segment 5 is currently full of water. Sometime after the first of the year, we'll initiate a pressure test on segment 5. Further in the agenda, I'll give more details about what's remaining in 6 and in segment 7. How do we accomplish it? Months and months of coordination efforts alongside Morale and city staff and operations staff of a temporary fill connection. We've moved roughly just under 13 million gallons to date, and couldn't have done what we could have done without this. So not only did this serve the first 4 and soon to be 5 pipeline segments, we also successfully completed the 1 million gallon storage tank leakage test at Intermediate Booster Pump Station. And then from a hydraulic standpoint, you know, that's some 400 vertical foot of fall from that fill source down to where we currently have water captive in the pipelines. Moving on to some more glamorous photos. This is an arrow at the USACE property showing some final finished product. That's within the segment 8 portion. From Lake Road. If you look far in the periphery, and you probably can't see in this photo, but there's actually a mast of a boom, you know, the crane back there. Some ongoing efforts right now. Brought my phone to see if we have a more current update. Not yet. But starting last week, initiated a pullback at the Arkansas East, HDD. It's roughly a 2,400 foot directional drill underneath the Arkansas River. Currently, we're approximately 2,200 of the 2,400 foot complete, so work remains ongoing. Just some more aerial imagery of the site layout and the cranes, the massive amount of support it takes to facilitate this fullback. You know, again, that's roughly 600,000 pounds of steel pipe string that's getting put underneath the river crossing. Standing over near Highway 60, you know, looking back towards that directional drill in the Arkansas River, and then a quick turnaround within a portion of segment 7, extending south of Highway 60. So within these areas, remaining portions of the pipeline, actually I've got a slide further ahead that we can stop and talk more of that. Just a photo of a finished product of one of the many pipeline appurtenances. I believe there's 200 plus or minus air releases and blow-off valves along that 70 miles. An exhibit of, well, there's an air release structure to the left, and then a permanent gate access for city staff and maintenance. This exhibit, so the green indicates everything that's installed within segments 6, 7, and 8. Currently within the pipelines remaining installation, this is what we refer to as the Arkansas West horizontal directional drill. We've got, once that drill's in, this portion of open cut on the west side and the east side will commence. Additionally, within segment 7, we've got a creek, or actually utility Magellan gas line crossing. That's scheduled to resume second, third week in January. And then a while ago, when I gave the update of the 2,200 to the 2,400, that's that drill at Arkansas East. Once that drill's in and successful, we've got the final piping interconnects and connections both on the north and south side of that river, that directional drill. Quick exhibit of the intermediate booster pump station tank. Again, 1 million gallon storage reservoir, the gated entrance. And as I had mentioned earlier, we have successfully completed the leakage test of that tank. More photos at the intermediate booster pump station, some of the vertical turbine pumps. And I had another complete photo as we get further in here that ran out of time to get into the slide deck, but crews have since completed the final piping connections and placement of these vertical turbine pumps. And the photo that didn't make it actually connects from, you know, that open airspace on that side. Moving on to the water treatment plant, a more current aerial of ongoing site and construction efforts. From a super high level, you know, come early summer, we anticipate many of these components, whether it be the ozone, the flux ed, high service pump station, TSRs, chemical building, et cetera, to near completion. One remaining scope of work that, you know, we'll further evaluate after the first year would be the filter admin building, part of that water treatment plant. We've had a lot of conversation, but we've got a lot of information gathering and an effort to do on our side to circle back sometime after the first of the year. This exhibit is of the, you know, granular activated carbon pump station. Again, another of the GAC pump station. Some placement of the deck on top of the GAC pump station. And this is the elevator shaft at the top of the filter admin building looking north. Within or inside of the filter building is the interior pipe gallery. Some more photos of the pipe gallery and mechanical components. Miscellaneous wall forming at the chlorine contact basin or building. The filtered water piping, and that's a connection to the chlorine contact. The filtered wastewater pipe to the GAC pump station. And this is actually where the treated and the groundwater meet. So these T and piping components with the meter assembly right here. Okay, piping to, that's the groundwater piping to plant number 2, along with the meter vault. Some of the filtered backwash piping. The ozone injection, stage 1, the pre-flock SED basin. High service electrical room, high service pump station. And then the photo to the right is the ozone building, and the one to the left is the chemical building. And this is part of the pre-engineered metal building installations. Next photo is the roof panel installations at the ozone building. Some of the vapor barrier installations at the ozone building. Split containment works within the chemical storage tanks. And this would be the east side of the flock SED basin, you know, walkway to the concrete placements. You can see up towards the top. And again, if you haven't, please take the time. We'd encourage open arms welcome a site visit at the water treatment plant. There's a lot of activity and a lot of good things to see. Project 11, Chestnut Water Main. We are soon, starting in January, to get into active construction. We have initiated pipe staging and deliveries to date. But come right after the first of the year, we'll begin actively clearing right-of-way trees, prepping for pipe staging, and soon thereafter begin with open cut installation as well as initiation of the 2,000-foot plus or minus horizontal directional drills. So after the first of the year, things are going to get quite active along Chestnut Avenue. So for those that want to try to visit the water plant, maybe shoot for this week. Sometime early January, it's going to become a quite congested construction corridor. Wanted to take a moment, for those in the public that might view this, we're going to have an immense amount of traffic control in place with controlled flow of traffic for not only public safety, but also safety of the construction workers. This is an example. Obviously, that's a water treatment plant, Wheat Ridge to the west. So as we work our way from west to east, eastbound will be restricted in this corridor. So basically from major road to major road intersection, there'll only be one-way traffic flow, and that will be westbound. So to ensure positive means of ingress and egress to the local residents, because most of that work area will be happening within that eastbound lane of traffic. Now, once we get away from the edge of the bar ditch and the drainage area and get further back or south of the fence or property lines, we can restore and reopen traffic. But when we're out along the roadway, we'll be having restricted flow of traffic for eastbound. This exhibit is to further illustrate that restricted eastbound flow. The orange hash would be our construction work zone. This is at the intersection of Garland, so when we're in this work zone or this phasing portion of the build, traffic running north-south on Garland will have unrestricted, but there will only be westbound flow of traffic along Chestnut during this phasing of the build.
When is that phase going to be?
Starting in January.
Okay, and how long until?
January to June, so by
Okay.
summer.
So westbound traffic only on Chestnut from basically Oakwood to Wheat Ridge? Or Garland, at least?
From Wheat Ridge, just east of Cleveland.
Okay.
And we,
So OBA sits out there, obviously right next to the
Yep.
plant. So when those kids come out of OBA, are they going to go left and around this section?
yes,
Okay.
sir.
Those are dirt roads, so they get pretty muddy. I don't have a vehicle that can drive on that road when it's muddy.
Okay.
We'll certainly do our best to step up the grading schedule if needed. And I think you guys grade Chestnut, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right in front of the,
We do.
Wheat Ridge.
Yep. Certainly something to take into consideration.
Communication for that will start in early January.
We actually have VMS boards placed today, just to begin advance warning of the general public. So we have one place east of Cleveland Avenue on the north side of Chestnut, and then one west of the water treatment plant or in proximity to the water treatment
Are
plant.
they on and working, or?
Yes.
Oh, so you guys will be getting questions. So-
They were 2 hours ago. I can
Okay.
confirm that. And then, outside of the restricted eastbound closure, if you will, we have one major closure that will be later into the program. On the east side of Cleveland, our piping carries through an existing tunnel or case crossing in front of Dollar Tree, and we come down, and then we turn and tie into the city of Enid's existing 24-inch water main. So during that effort to get across Chestnut, we'll close that portion of the roadway to the public in its entirety.
So is there a specific date in January that's going to be westbound only, or? Do we know that yet? We're giving the public time to acclimate?
Yeah. So by middle of January, no later.
But it will still be a shock to them because they'll get used to they can go any way they want now, and they'll wonder what these flashing signs are, but then sometime in January, that'll be
Yep.
more clear that it's
Yep.
westbound.
We wanted to give the general public at least two weeks minimum, but preferably 3 weeks of advance notification from the BMS boards. And then we do fully anticipate, it coming as a as a shock once construction begins. So we're going to continue our due diligence to the local residents and the businesses going door to door, having those open lines of communication. But
Have you conveyed all this to any public schools and OBA yet? I mean, do those superintendents know that?
all in.
'Cause that's a pretty busy intersection right there.
All in process, so we still got work to do to
Okay.
make sure that we turn over every leaf.
Okay.
Got one question. So at Oakwood and Chestnut, you know, you got Glenwood schools right here. And the way that that's set up for pickup is that parents have to go around the backside. Are they still going to be able to turn, even though it's probably less than a football field, but they'll have to turn east to,
The good news there is, and I should have actually put a slide in for that, that's within the portion of the
That's the
horizontal
drilling.
directional drill.
okay.
So we can maintain unrestricted access to and from and in and out of that
Okay.
that school.
That's good. That's a huge relief.
Anything else on traffic control?
Jason, can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Is that segmented, or is that gonna be closed down January through June, for any eastbound traffic, that whole section?
It'll be segmented.
Be segmented?
Yep.
Okay.
But that's segmented with like section mile road from Oakwood to Garland, Garland to Chestnut, so that's how
So
it's
that'll be a moving.
moving target, yeah.
Okay.
I think you're in the process of talking to the landowners on that side too.
Yep.
What's getting ready to happen with the clearing of brush and,
Yep.
okay.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was looking back at one of the earlier slides and it says that we're still looking at land acquisition. Land acquisition on Chestnut side or land acquisition between Caw and here?
Personally, I'm not aware of any outstanding.
I don't think
land
there's any land
acquisition.
acquisition. There may be, I don't know if there's a temporary easement that's needed or not.
We don't have any acquisition right now.
So we're all good on all of our easements and all of our contracts then?
Well, we've still got the
using-
trial. Maybe that's what the reference is. I mean,
We'll be using the right of way mostly, isn't that right, Morale? That's why the,
On Chestnut, yes.
yes.
That's
why
for the
street-
Chestnut.
Chestnut, yeah.
So we're clear all the way on our 70 miles.
Carol's right,
This
though.
way.
Merrifield,
On, we still
Condemnation
have,
is-
yeah, the Merrifield's still there, the trail in January.
or damages. That's what the trial's for. Set the amount of damages.
And on that, Garney fully understands anything not on the construction drawings for Chestnut. If we need to secure additional easement, whether it's temporary, et cetera, to accommodate construction, that's on Garney.
Okay, that's what I just want to make sure. Thank you.
Photo of the pipe delivery. We're looking forward to leaving the pipe and finding its way submerged underground.
So when you cut across the road back there and you tie into our 24-inch water line,
Yes, sir.
do you continue down?
No.
That's as far as you go, right there.
The only thing that continues for another mile and a half would be the fiber optic communication system. So Marley, you might have to help me on the cross street, but from that connection, the fiber will continue south along Chestnut, turn north,
On Johnson Street.
Johnson Street.
Okay.
And the scope of that work's very minimal. Once the fiber optic gets that portion of the build, we don't anticipate any major inconvenience or traffic, and we'll try to take full advantage of that closure to get that scope of work complete.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Just high-level cost summary. Starting back in November 2020 to execute a GMP in January of '21, 243.3. We've had 6 GMP change orders to date, tallying $13,465,000. Our current GMP is 256.8 or $256,824,042.73. And I put a snippet down below. It's terminology can get confusing, but we've heard of total cost, we've heard of contract sum. is the same as what we refer to from time to time as total cost of work. And that's simply nothing more, nothing less than the actual bid package cost of work extended by the contractual CMAR fees, generates a contract sum for that bid package. The sum of every bid packages equals the future and, projected GMP. Today, we're at 256.8. Part of the partnered approach that we worked through alongside the city with regards to GMP change order number 6 was Garney volleying up CMAR contingency for a number of scope of items in order to minimize and reduce the total financial exposure part of change order 6 of the city. I just put a snippet in here of the various components associated with CMAR contingency, and we are in active discussions with the city at this time. And I know later in this, there's another slideshow of the financial requests to date. We've got through the first part of GMP change order 6 and looking forward to getting through the second part with regards to finalization of the contingency items. But before I move on from this, what we've talked about with both Morale and Gerald and others is contingencies can either be a positive request or a negative request. So it's important to understand that. There are certain bid packages that might underrun. That underrun becomes unassigned monies within the program. So come into the day, we fast forward all the way to the end, final projections of all cost, those pluses and minuses will shake out, but that delta will be set aside, and the difference between the 256.8 and the current contract sum would be the delta remaining, which would apply to the shared savings compact if there's still shared savings in play. The CMAR contingency cost summaries to date, we've currently got 7 in play, roughly 3.47 or 3.5 million. Many of these are in process. Some of them are underway or under review and discussion.
I think we've concurred on 4 of them, I think, is what I'm tracking, Morale. Is that right?
Yeah, next slide.
Okay.
So, you want to take over?
No, it's all you. I guess maybe Marley, before you do, just a reminder, we're quite eager to get through this portion of the process. Some of the items that are in current review are in active build today, so I just want to go on the record to say Garney stepped up and we agreed what we agreed to on change order 6, and appreciate the collaboration with city staff and ensure a successful outcome for this bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. So far to date, the contract, the GMP has $4.4 million for the construction contingencies. From the contractor, so far to date, they requested $3.4 million. And $3.4 million, that leaves about almost $1 million unassigned. But from the city side, we approved $1.1 million. And there is still more work. We are working with the engineer and contractor on the remaining items. Moving forward, I think when we see here, a number of things, April 2021, construction started. Still we are working on. The next steps are equipment startup, and sometime in June, there will be a manual operation. That's where we call it substantial completion. Manual operation is manually all the pumps will be turned on and we produce a drinking standard water. That's where we call it as a substantial completion. From that time, there might be some, panel or 2, they are not being done at the administration building, but still the plant is operable. That's where, and from that point, there will be automation. The Garver engineer going to take over, do the automation of all the equipment and system commissioning. And the system commissioning, both Garver and Garney work together, finishing up the whole program. And after that, Garver, the engineer, has 3 months of training our people. So they are going to work with hand in hand with our staff to make sure all the kinks are being taken care on the operations side. So that's where then the program will be completely done. From the Garver side, Eric was supposed to be here and he got sick, so I'm taking care of that slide. If you have any questions.
You said the plans to eventually blend, there's going to be a slow blend from Ames to Coldwater.
Right.
How long is that? That's going to be over the course of a year?
Yeah, year or two.
Okay.
I think the main purpose is we wanted to make sure the blending going to be no significant on our distribution system.
Okay.
So the chemistry of cow water is pretty close to our drinking water, but we wanted to make sure like the taste and odor and everything is going to be gradually changed.
Yeah. So at first it'll probably be only
Probably
about
10%.
10% CAW,
of cow water.
but eventually, what,
Yeah.
90% CAW?
No,
or
goal is 50-50.
50/50
Yeah.
over the course of,
Or close, yeah.
but it could be up to 2 years before we
Yeah.
get that, okay.
Earlier on June 27th, we talked about manual
Manual operation.
commissioning, so that doesn't include the automation you're talking about.
That's
That'll
correct.
come,
Yep,
I presume, in the next 3 months after that, which we will have money set aside with Garver
yep,
already
yeah,
to pay for that.
that's right.
Okay. Can you talk briefly about the importance of the Ames project in relation to call and what needs to be done?
Yeah, I think
Junction.
the Ames water line currently brings majority of the water to the Enid through the Ames line. That Ames line currently serves only to the east plain, which is on Poplar and Van Buren. That's the location. So the Ames plant diverts the water at IMO into the existing 42-inch line that is coming from Clio Springs and Ringwood. So all that water goes to the plant too. That is the important, like we have to take that water, divert into the plant to where the existing new water treatment plant will is. Currently, we have like couple loans to finish the project. The OWRB recently granted $2 million with the matching $2 million to the city. That project take care of the immediate need that is required because like there are a couple creek locations. The pipe is exposed. That is a critical infrastructure. That's the first project of the Ames water line. So we are going to HDD, horizontal directional drill under the creeks to take care of those problems. That is about almost a $4 million project. That is our target to finish that one. Then comes on, we are going to line the whole line project, the remaining portion of the project.
So you won't have to dig all that old line up then, right? You're just going to line it inside of the
Exactly.
existing
Yep.
pipe?
Right.
And that will likely come after the project, the call comes online? The $4 million is going to come before, is that right, or?
That's correct. So
Just lowering some creek bed crossings?
creek crossings, yeah. So to line that project, we have to bypass that whole line. So there will be a water line, temporary bypass from the Ames plant into the 42-inch line along the Ames road. So there will be some bypassing work during that construction. We'll see. We are going to coordinate that during the low flow times.
And what are you going to line that existing pipe? It's concrete now, right?
It's a PCCP, pre-stressed concrete cylinder pipe.
Okay. And so what are you going to line the inside of it with? Is it a PVC?
We are evaluating two options. I think we are going to bid in two options. One is fusible PVC, the other one is going to be HDPE pipe. These are the two options. We are going to bid it. The problem with not it's a problem, it's a concern with the fusible PVC. If there isn't a hard, like bends in the existing pipeline, the fusible PVC doesn't work. So there is a limitation on that one. Then we have to dig and fuse it again with the bends and stuff like that. So that is we are looking at the options on that.
Are there any current leaks that we know of in that concrete, or in the other pipe that's in there now?
No, we do not. We used to have it. Currently, we do not have any leaks. But the pipe runs on a low flow. I mean, not low flow, low pressure, like 30 to 35 psi. So that is the benefit of it.
Really?
Yeah. Because it's once pumps in, I don't remember the name of the road, but once it crosses that hill, it's a gravity flood. So that's the beauty of it. That's the reason we have low power consumption on that pipe.
Okay. And then we're also going to have some P3 money, right, that's going to help with that, we're hoping?
Yes, we're putting together a P3 application. I think we're close to submitting everything on that, right, Aaron?
Yes.
Okay.
Any question? Thank you.
Okay, 3.3, Call Lake Water Supply Program Financial Update. Aaron?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. We are doing an update on the program through the end of November. Through the end of November, this is sales tax that has come in for the year. We had budgeted to bring in $4.18 million, and so far to date, we brought in 4.37. So we are exceeding our projections for revenue by 2.26% so far this fiscal year, and we've seen an increase of $100,000 over last year for the same period, or a 1.14% increase year over year on the funds brought in for the Call Lake program. Of the water, or of the monies that have come in, the water sales tax, we have total sales tax collective $62.2 million. We've earned interest of $991,000, bringing the total revenue for the program to $63.1 million. We've made loan payments of $43.5 million to date, and that leaves $19.6 million available in cash and investments right now of this fund. We have $15 million currently invested in T-bills that are laddered, and we have our next payments coming up, will not be due until March of '24. The total of those debt payments will be $6.95 million. Here's a total status of all of the loans that we've taken out for Call Lake to date. Again, overall loans and interest of $339.5 million. We've drawn $254.6 million, leaving $84.8 million remaining, or about 25% of the funds are remaining of loans. Over the last quarter, we've added interest of $739,000, and we've drawn down $12.8 million in payments, making a net overall change to the status of these loans of $12 million. And then this is the additional funding that has been pledged to the program. At this point, we got a $4 million congressional funding, and then there's a little over $5 million in ARPA funding that has been attributable to that change order 6 for Garney, and then some additional work by Envirotech for quality control that has not been drawn down to date. Here are the status of the loans since the last update that I gave you in August. We did make payments in September, and so those payments have been reflected on here. Total principal and interest payments that have been made is $41.5 million. Then another $2 million in loan origination fees. The status of the loans outstanding is 85 to 98%. The older ones, of course, having a little more paid off than the newer ones. But overall, total debt still outstanding and principal is $318.8 million on the program. And then this last slide here is just where we stand as far as the budget goes on the program. Total program budget is $343 million. We have had actual expenditures of $261.1 million. We have total current encumbrances or contracts in place for $81.8 million, and that leaves $91,000 right now that has not been accounted for, but is available in the program. We've made payments to Garver, $15.86 million, Garney, $180.39 million, and all other ancillary expenditures related to land acquisition, quality control of $7.4 million. Left open on contracts right now, we have Garver with $5.18 million, Garney had $76.43, and $200,000 left open on other contracts that are in place at this time. Is there any questions financially that I can answer for you on Call Lake?
No, I'd just like to make a comment and say to our city staff, our city manager, and to yourself, Aaron, and everyone that worked with you all. You all are doing an incredible job to be able to manage these figures with the population of the town that we have. You know, looking at the money that comes in our budget as far as utilities, it's not as much as people think it is. And it fluctuates. And for you all to be able to manage that and, you know, do the job that you're doing, you all are to be commended, because I understand it. So kudos to you all that do that work for the citizens of Enid, along with the mayor and the council. People really don't fully understand, you know, when we see these things and we understand it, if you really care, sometimes you don't sleep as well. But you all have done such a great job that we can sleep pretty well. So thank you all for the job that you've done.
Thank you on behalf of the city staff.
Yeah. Hey, Aaron, just a quick question. On those notes back there that started in 2016, were they all 30-year notes?
Yes,
Okay. Okay.
they are.
And I think the reasoning there was the sales tax was extended 30 years, and I think from 2022, so it comes off in
And
2052?
typically, we'd like to match up the terms of those loans with the length of the asset infrastructure life. And so when we're talking about pipelines and these water treatment plants, it's usually a 30 to 50-year time span, and so we want to line that up.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Aaron, on the initial was 243 that we took out. We haven't taken out anything extra to make it to 256. Where it's at now, that percentage.
Correct. The additional amount came from the two additional funding sources, the congressional appropriation for $4 million and then $5 million from the American Rescue Plan funds that were given out by the federal
So
government.
far, I just
during
want
COVID.
the citizens to know that they're not paying any extra on their bills because we went
Correct.
this route, got this
Both of
money.
those are grant funded, and so they do not have repayment terms on those.
And at the time that we turned around and took all of this out and everything else, Garney probably answered this, how much did the construction costs go up between then and now? How much would this project cost if we started today?
325 to 350 million, probably.
And interest rates at that time, I mean, when we locked in the $205 million loan, our interest rate was a 1.84 versus we'd probably get a 6 or 7% now. So, yeah. Timing's worked out well for the city and for the
So
citizens.
construction costs have gone up, what, 20%, 28% between for steel and everything else between the time that we started this project to today's date?
Yes.
And we're at a 6% over cost on the whole project at the moment? Pretty good job, guys. Pretty good job. Thank you.
Any other comments, concerns, questions? All right, thanks, Aaron.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. And I'll move on to 3.4, discuss possible rate increases for the Meadow Lake Golf Course.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. and Mrs. Commissioners. Talking about things going up, and that's what I'm going to bring up right now. So the last time we've increased rates at Meadow Lake Golf Course was March of 2020. It wasn't a significant increase. We kind of looked to bring our fees to where they set on even numbers. So that's what we did. Before that, it was 2016, so we really haven't increased rates a lot. The rates that I'm proposing are about 12 to 15% increase across the board, maybe a little bit of outliers off of that. Nothing significant. I mean, it's significant, and nobody likes when things go up, but I've looked around at what other courses that are kind of in our similar category, other municipalities, trying to fall in that same ballpark. And I think there's probably lots of golf courses that are like us that are looking at making increases. And I've seen some that are talking about it this winter, some that did it last year. So I'm going to highlight a few of the changes, some of the things I've kind of added on that are different from past. Our base rate, which is green fee and cart for 18 holes, that's per person, would go from $40 on weekdays to $45 on weekdays, and $45 on weekends and holidays to $50. So that's what most of the time when we're bringing in customers, they're paying for 18 holes on a cart, 18 holes, half a cart, and they pay for half a cart, so nobody's stuck paying for the full cart. Our junior fees, which is juniors that are in high school or younger, we were $7.50 on a weekday. I kind of just put in, let's make it $10 weekdays and weekends. A lot of times we have parents that drop off the kids, they get confused on, what's the rate, so give them $10. That's pretty cheap for being out there for 4 or 5 hours of entertainment and quality entertainment outdoors away from technology. So I'm really proud that we have low rates for juniors, and I hope that we can keep it that way, and that's what I'd like to keep it that way. You look across at other, you go to Oklahoma City and Lake Hefner, and they're charging their juniors almost the same fees as the adults. And I think we're trying to grow the game, and we want to keep those rates for juniors low, and I hope you guys will agree. The senior rate, we've been at 65 since before I got here. We get a little bit of pushback on that. We're higher than most courses, so I put to reduce that to 62. That's what a lot of municipal courses are, so that's kind of what I adjusted to. If you have any feedback, give it to me. That's what I want to know. What do you think about this? Let's go to the. Our driving range bucket, we sell a lot of range balls. That'll go from $4 to $5. That's about on par with what other driving range costs. Probably actually still a little bit cheaper than some when you go to Oklahoma City, Wichita, Tulsa. They're a little bit higher than that, but I think $5 that's 20% increase. I think that's where we should fall. Our memberships run on a July 1st to June 30th. So these rates will increase March 1st, but most of our customers that are our members, they pay monthly, so their rates wouldn't increase until July 1st. So that's what we've done in the past. So if you're a current member, you've already paid for your membership for this year, you won't see any change until July 1st. If you join after March 1st, your membership would bump up to these 12 to 15% higher rates. And some of the numbers are kind of funky. We try and make it even numbers on monthly rates. So that's why it might say $2,330 because divide that by 12 and it's an even number. So that's what our goal is there.
Is that including the sales tax now? Or
This all includes tax. So all these rates are tax inclusive. That's what we changed back in 2020 because we would have a tax change and then our rates would get off and we'd be $29.79 and we're getting out change, even though most people pay with a credit card anymore, but we still deal with cash a significant amount. One other thing I've added is a family membership. We get a lot of people that come in and they've got several kids and they just say, hey, what's a family membership? And we haven't had one. They come in and say, okay, you're going to do an individual with a cart, then you're going to add your spouse with a cart, then you're going to add one junior, then you're going to add another junior. So the family membership would be $4,200 a year, and that would cover as many kids that are 18 and under that live in your household, come out, play with a cart, driving range, and everything. So I think that's a good option that quite a few will utilize, and we've seen our memberships increase significantly the last few years. Military memberships, it is not going away. That is actually the same membership as the corporate. So I believe it's on the page before. That's just added in. Corporate active duty, it just condenses our rates or our ordinance a little bit. So that doesn't go away. That just goes to the same with the corporate since they're the same rate. Another thing that I changed, we have a driving range membership. We have quite a few individuals that do just a driving range membership, and they don't play golf much. They come out and they beat balls and they beat balls, and they might hit 3, 4, 5 tokens in a day. They're getting a very good value at $300 a year for a range membership. So if you only purchase a driving range membership, it would be $600 a year, and that's still a pretty good deal for those people that are hitting a lot of golf balls. But if you're already a course member and you just want to add your range, you stay at that $300. I think that's a good idea to capitalize on a lot of people that don't actually play golf and they're just beating balls. And then on the golf cart fees, the 18-hole fee would go from 15 to 17. 9 holes would go from $9 to $10 per person. And I've added a twilight cart fee. Our twilight fee is the same as our 9-hole fee. And most of the time, if you come out, twilight is 3 hours before sunset. You're playing 14, 15 holes. A lot of people can get in 18. So they're getting a really good deal. They're playing way more than 9 holes with the cart. So I added that twilight fee, which is less than the 18, but more than the 9, to kind of capitalize on those people that are playing 18 at a super, super discounted rate. And a lot of courses have that same structure. Locker rental would go from $80 to $100. That's a locker for your club. That's $100 for a year. That's not too much to ask to store your clubs and your shoes. And I believe that's all I've got on memberships. Does anybody have any questions, any comments?
So you're lowering the senior age to 62.
Yes.
What if you raise the junior age to 21? That seems to be kind of the age now where, obviously you can still join the military at 18, but you got to be 21 to buy tobacco.
I would not be opposed to that either.
Okay.
Because a lot of those are college kids. They're coming back home. They don't have,
Yeah.
So.
I'd like to see that in there.
Anybody else think that's a good idea? I'd be for it, honestly.
What is your membership up to out there now?
We are in the 200 member ballpark. It fluctuates a little bit. We got a lot of military members, and they join, and if they have to get relocated, there's no fee to cancel. If you have anything medical come up, military reassignment, so we get a significant amount of military members. So I'd say it fluctuates in that 175 to 190 total members, and that's, I think 5-6 years ago we were.
Well, you've done a great job out there. I mean, I can see a difference just over the last several years, and I've played a lot of different courses. I know Rob has also, but that's still very, very reasonable, I think.
I think so too. And I tell you what, our expenses have gone up. You all know that. Our cart fleet, we're getting new golf carts in January, so I thought it was pretty good timing to look at rate increases with that addition. Our cart fleet's going, it's doubling our costs per month. Equipment in the turf industry is probably taking the biggest hit. You see chemical fertilizer fluctuations that have went up. The cost of equipment for golf course has just really gone through the roof the last 4 years.
The carts are going to double?
Double.
Is that what I heard?
Yes. And really the only change is we're going from lead acid battery to lithium battery carts. It's the same fleet. We bid it out. We had 2 bid submissions. There's only really 3 major golf cart companies, and one of them didn't give us a bid. And the ones we're going with are Yamaha was significantly lower than the Easy Go carts that we got a bid from. But yeah, they're doubling.
When do those carts come in?
January.
I'm sure they'll have way more than 3 on them.
Can you tell me again, what the range only membership, that's the only item that you really doubled.
So.
on here? What was the
The justification on that is if you just come in and you only buy a driving range membership, a lot of those people don't play golf. They just come out and hit balls every day.
Yeah.
And so at $5 a token, they might get 3 or 4 tokens a day.
Okay.
So they're getting their value out. And so that's,
Okay.
I wanted to kind of incentivize to people to join as a member, because then your driving range membership is half, if that makes sense.
Okay.
That's actually a new thing. We have never had a driving range only membership. It's just been range membership, whether you're.
You think you'll lose a few, though, with doubling that?
We may lose a couple. I think they'll come out and hit balls still, and then pay $5 per token.
Okay.
That's my opinion. We could lose 1 or 2. I don't.
That's
There's-
not a membership, that's just if you come out and just play.
Okay.
Yeah, not having a membership. We had tried something with Pheasant Run, and that may have already, we did it on a one-year basis, and I think that may have already expired, but
Yes, and we had.
Wasn't very successful,
It wasn't
was it?
successful. We had one person do it, and that was it.
okay, well, we tried.
So, and I've already informed them that I don't think we're going to try for it again, so.
Great. And then when you're setting rates, you mentioned you compare to Pheasant Run and other places too?
Pheasant Run's the same rates exactly as we are right now, and I think they'll probably look to increase a little bit too. Boiling Springs and Woodward's one I compare to, they are 50 on weekend and 45 on the weekday, which is exactly what we go to. El Reno, Crimson Creek is the city of El Reno's course. They're 50 on a weekend, and they're in that, I think, a little bit cheaper on the weekday, 42. Owasso Bailey Ranch, which is a really nice club, they're higher than 50 every day. They have one rate. I think it's 55. And then Kicking Bird in Edmond, they just did a major renovation, and they're in the $70 neighborhood, but I think everything in Edmond is a little higher than Enid if you look across the board. You got Ponca City, Lou Wentz, they're a little bit cheaper than us, but I think they've been looking at increasing. Oklahoma City courses are right on par with where we are, a little bit higher actually. So,
I have a question.
yes.
How come the 9-hole green fee is not half of the 18-hole green fee?
Because we want to incentivize people to play 18 holes. There are a lot of courses that have actually done away with 9-hole fees, and they just have one 18-hole fee. So that's why.
Well, that's not very
If somebody comes and takes the.
helpful for the
Right,
beginner
I know.
who has to, 12 shots per thing. Do you have a beginner starter thing?
We have
We have
practice.
we have an employee membership, Carol.
Oh, I'm
I'm the kind of member we want. I pay and we
I
never
would
play.
assume that he wants to encourage the beginners. I was just, but
Right,
maybe,
yeah. We have practice facilities that are free. You can chip and putt for free. You can hit in our little practice area in our bunker, and then driving range balls would go to $5. Most every course is in that 65%, if they even have a 9-hole fee. It's 65% to 70% of the 18-hole. Because if you think about it, we give them a golf cart, we still have to clean and wash that golf cart when we get it in, no matter if they play 9 holes or 18 holes. So there's reasons for that.
If you've hit 62, you might be eligible for a discount.
I don't have time right now, but I was just trying to look out for, the people who wanted to walk and do 9 holes. But
I'll keep that in mind.
you've got a good rationale, so I'm happy.
Michael, I don't hear anything about Turkey Creek anymore.
I don't really know what's going on there. They did raise their fees a year and a half ago, and they raised them significantly. So they're a little bit under what we are, but I think with course conditions, we definitely justify it, and we're going to keep trying to improve. Last year was a little struggle because you can't really predict the weather. We went through that drought and winter kill, but we really had a very good year this year, and the course is in good shape going into winter. And one thing with our new carts that we're going to have coming in, we're having a geofencing put on them, which is where we can control where the carts can and can't go. So it'll make our marshal, we have volunteer marshals on the weekends, and our job when we're there on the weekdays, a lot easier because we don't have to go tell the customers, hey, can you please keep it off the collar and not drive on the edge of the green? So that'll do that automatically, and it'll shut down the carts, and they'll back up and go around it. Traffic control is a big deal, especially as much play as we've gotten. increasing the last few years. We're at around 30,000 rounds this year, and that's a lot of golf rounds, and so that's cart traffic that wears out turf, and it makes my job a little tougher.
Okay.
I'd like to say that Michael does a wonderful job on our golf course, and we're lucky to have him. We're lucky to have him, this quality of guy. And if you haven't been out there and played it recently, for some people like me that have played it for long as I can remember, 30, 40 years, it's come a long ways. And a lot of it is a result of Michael's efforts, because he's not only knowledgeable in the operations of the pro shop and the playing part of it, but he knows the agronomic side of it too. So just like to.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I've got a good staff, so I've got a lot of support.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you all supporting us too. I think golf has been trending up, whether it's Top Golf and Screen Golf and simulators. But I think you've seen the importance of having a good quality golf course, and that can bring in people to live here, businesses. They look at that. We host a lot of events, whether it's college events, high school regionals, and those don't go to golf courses that are not in decent shape, and we appreciate the funding that you all give us.
No. So usually they'll pay for it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So you'll have to pay like $8.50.
All right, I think that's all we've got. We will adjourn and start our regular meeting at 6:30.